This is the Reverend Dr. Gilberto Rosado. Dios lo bendiga. Este es Reverendo Dr. Gilberto Rosado. Welcoming you to another broadcast. At this hour, we have our bilingual broadcast, our teaching in English and Spanish. So we ask that you be patient as we translate live on the fly between languages. Esta es la hora que damos la enseñanza en inglés y español y pedimos que tengas pues paciencia mientras que traduzcamos de un idioma al otro. Aproveche y aprende el otro idioma. While we're at it, you can learn the other language as well. Es un beneficio de sintonizarse con nuestro ministerio. It's a benefit, an added benefit I should add, of tuning in to our ministry. God bless you and welcome to our class today. Dios le bendiga a todos. Bienvenido a nuestro salón de enseñanza para hoy día. Todavía estamos acomodándonos al nuevo orden. We're still welcome everyone to our teaching today. We're still accommodating ourselves or adjusting for the new environment and circumstances for our studio. At least, you know, I still consider it a transitory studio, but in either case, it is what it is. Estamos todavía en, como se dice, en transición, ciertamente. So, el estudio, ahorita estamos como estamos. Y tenemos la situación de tener que levantar, se dice levantar la pregrabación de la enseñanza. So we are still uploading the teaching the week prior. So right now you're seeing me, but actually on this Sunday, on a certain Sunday, but actually I recorded this the previous Sunday. Okay, so what I neglected to do was to post that Sunday's teaching, which is already waiting as a premiere. So give me a moment now, forgive me. Let me just pause this and I'll be right back. One moment. I'm going to use Social Evangelizer, actually. I have revamped Social Evangelizer, my software, for helping Christians evangelize online effectively and with great effect. Well, effectively. I'm one for the words. All right, so, and I'm going to, this will soon be released. So it's going to be soon released. I'm going to release it first for one of our new church outreaches in another country. I won't say what it is yet. Some of you know because I've posted about it, but I'm going to let this church and this minister out there use the Social Evangelizer and to raise funds. Use it to raise funds for a helps project that I'm helping him with, and our church is helping him with. And that way give them a chance to make some funds so they can pay for this wonderful project, which is sure to be, it's going to be a help. It's going to feed people. It's going to put them to work. So I'm offering this software. I'm saying this now, and they don't know this yet. But I'm going to let them be the first ones to be able to market this software and to raise funds, use it to raise funds initially. So I'm preparing this. It's just almost all done for this version. So I'm going to use it to promote the stream that is going to happen while I'm teaching this class. So give me a moment while I set that up, and I'll be starting our class right after I announce the Sunday broadcast. One moment. All right, I want to share with you a little bit what I'm doing. I just posted on Facebook here. As you see, I posted the broadcast on Facebook. And I'm going to also do it on Twitter. Let's see if I get this here. Is this Twitter? That's Twitter full. Let me Twitter. Twitter Full is a good app. I could post it through the Twitter Full, but I'll have to sign in. I'm already signed into Twitter otherwise. So I used another, you don't see this actually, this Social Evangelizers right here. I clicked on the Twitter here. I'll do it again so you can see that. When I click, it opens up. At this point, it is set to open up for Evangelizer there. It doesn't matter. I can always post, as you can see. So I'm showing you, I'm sorry, you guys can't see this. So I'm showing you that the Social Evangelizer, even though it's a tool for evangelizing online for Christian apologetics, there's no reason why you can't use it for promoting your links, promoting your church links, or a Bible study, a YouTube video that you have, or whatever it is. You can use it to post and promote your resources and your content. And that's not the only thing you can do. You can do a lot of things, even write books with this, okay? You collect information, add your notes to it, and you can, use it to create your notes. You can actually, and what I do recommend that a lot of Christians do, if you've done a lot of post writing and comments on posts, etc., that's your content. You can use this. Just makes it easier. It's nothing. It's not doing something special other than making it all, a push button away for you to do, right? So, but I'll give you training also when you get the social evangelizer. I'm giving you training how to use this to your, to great effect, like I'm doing now. I'm teaching you now. You can use this to write your books, right? So what you do is that you search for your posts. You can search for your posts or your post topics, and you can search for them here. A little hint: when you post, when you comment even, you should always put some type of a tag, a hashtag, something that identifies you, even just like your initials of your name, because that way it's easy for you to then find your comments on Facebook easily, and any other social media as well. So, make yourself and do that from now on. It's a good idea, especially if you're contributing good content, knowledgeable stuff. You should make it easier for you to find it later. So get yourself your own hashtag, little thing that you add to your other hashtags. Make sure you put it on every comment and every post. And so then you'll be able to search for it. Like here, push of a button, put it in the search bar, and they'll all come up. And then you can copy and paste whatever you want as you're creating your content and your books and stuff like that. So this is a good idea, something for you to do. At this point, we are going to make a post. So I'm going to tweet, and we're going to simply just tweet this. I copied it from the Facebook post, same thing. And we'll just tweet. Let me see what this will. And we'll just press tweet, and we have tweeted that. Let's go to home here. Forgive whatever shows up here, because some people put stupid stuff on social media. Okay, and I wanted to check the home, and would this be my profile or what? I'm trying to. No. Oh, this is the profile. So I'll go here, and this shows up here. You can see this is today's teaching. It's not this one. It's the one for last week, but I'm promoting it now while I'm doing the new teaching. Estoy enseñando cómo uso el Social Evangelizer, un programa de computadora que yo he creado. Esta es la versión nueva que vamos a hacer disponible al público pronto. Y lo estoy enseñando cómo se utiliza no solamente para evangelizar en línea en los medios sociales, sino también cómo se usa para promover sus propios videos, material, discursos, sermones, puntos de comentario. Y también se puede usar para hacer sus libros y muchas cosas. Se utiliza mucho de diferentes maneras. Que todo eso lo voy a enseñar cuando tú recibes este programa, lo descarga a su máquina, a su computadora. Yo le doy, a través de ella, le doy enseñanza, entrenamiento, adiestramiento a cómo utilizarlo en diferentes formas, right? Y cómo defender el evangelio, las creencias que tienen. No tiene que ser, no importa qué denominación
ustedes son, no tienen que estar de acuerdo conmigo en todos los puntos, no tiene nada que ver. Esto es un utensilio, ¿cómo se llama? Utensilio, ¿no? Es un programa que ustedes lo pueden utilizar como desean. Es modificable, usted puede modificar ciertas cosas. Lo importante que es qué material tú vas a compartir con los demás, right? So eso usted lo puede modificar, añadir sus recursos, etcétera, hacerlo suyo. Como también si eres pastor de una iglesia, pues cómo hacerlo más, poner material que sea promotiva para su iglesia y su ministerio. So, todo eso lo pueden hacer con este programa y todo eso lo enseño a través del programa, en el programa, cómo hacerlo. Okay, so I teach you how to apply this and how to make it, more amenable to your full beliefs and to your purposes, right? So here I'm promoting the Sunday class, and I just put this up. It's on a premiere, so that's Twitter. I can also put it up on LinkedIn. Again, so I'm going to start a post here, right? And I'm just going to pasting the teaching so people can go and watch it. And here we can go and view the post, and there it goes. So that's the post. Very nice. Everything looks great. It's great social media, isn't it? So you can imagine, usted puede estar promoviendo sus cultos o sus programas, sus actividades, también como defender sus creencias, lo que sean, ¿ok? Otra vez, esto es un utensilio, ¿ok? Para que usted promueve sus creencias. So, esto todo está bien para que usted lo vea. Yo te ayudo si sus creencias son como los míos, pues yo te doy más ayuda y más, ¿cómo se dice? Información, contenido, pero no tiene que usar lo que está incluido en el programa. Puedes modificarlo con sus creencias. So you can always add your own resources, your own particular viewpoints. They're not just, you don't have to use mine or the ones that I supplied you here with, but you can adjust it to do what you need it to do. Very good. In other videos, I'll show you everything else that it does. And those are the basic three platforms right now that we are, updating to. We also have the ability to do Reddit, but frankly, I have not looked into Reddit in terms of posting my religious services there or my teaching, so I'm not going to do that now, but we do have those type of resources. All right, so I think I have everything that I wanted to do with this today. I'm just checking the links here. We also have the interest nexus, which is something that you can use to great effect, but we'll cover that inside the social evangelizer. And I'm just looking for anything else that I may want to do. All right, so that's it for now. And now we can get started with our teaching for today. So thank you for putting up with my little my little demonstration there. Vamos a proseguir con la enseñanza de hoy. So today, last week, the teaching that I was posting about there, la semana pasada, la enseñanza que estaba poniendo allí en los medios sociales, nosotros descubrimos, yo digo descubrir porque en términos de la enseñanza, ¿no? Estamos descubriendo en esta serie el significado actual o real, original de la palabra Kadosh. right? Holy. Es santo, lo que es santo. So we've been studying for quite some time this year, particularly, what is the true or the actual or the original meaning of the word holy, kadosh. And we have over, I think now is over 28 or 30 hours easily of teaching on this. So there's a lot of things. If you're watching this for the first time, don't pass any judgment on what you're going to hear today because we are far into this issue. And the preliminary facts that you are missing are back in the older videos. And don't make the mistake of passing judgment on what I'm saying now without hearing the original first thing. So the first things are first. So do yourself a favor if you're looking for truth and look to my older teachings. They're all on, if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, you will find the older ones. Just go back and you'll see it. The Holy Series. And then you can then look at the beginning things, the first things, and say, "Oh, I didn't know this," because that's if you're not understanding or agreeing with what I'm saying in this teaching, especially in the one previous, you really you don't know what we have uncovered. Simply, you need to go back and watch those first ones. All right, so. Así que si usted está escuchando esto hoy, recuerde que hoy ya estamos más de 30 horas avanzadas en la clase esto. Tú sabes que 30 horas en cualquier escuela equivale a un curso entero, casi. Falta solamente un par de horas más para que sea un curso entero. So, ahora tú vienes a la clase por primera vez. You know, this is like almost a full course in a college in terms of the hour, the credit time. Right? We already are getting to a point where it's almost the finals are going to be given, and you're walking into this class for the first time. So don't make a joke. Don't sit here and watch me and say, "Oh, no, this and that, blah, blah, blah." Don't do that because it's silly. I mean, you got to go back to the beginning of the class, and then you'll see the points as we painstakingly show them to you in Scripture. Okay, so now you're looking at this. The students who have been here, the church people who have been here, the audience that's been here from the beginning, they know what's happening. See, they understand what's going on. But if this is your first time, you have to do yourself a favor and go back. You know, so esta es una clase ya está casi como decir terminándose para que ustedes hagan un juicio, una conclusión, llegándose hoy día nada más en esta clase. So, no haga eso. Pero en esta clase seguimos en lo que hablamos en la semana pasada. I'm going to put some air on because, as you know, I get really little hot here, so let me just adjust this highly technological facility here. Okay. So vamos a seguir. La semana pasada descubrimos que Dios le da una instrucción rara a Israel. Y esa instrucción hemos descubierto una relación con esa instrucción a la vida pasada en Egipto. So we discovered that there's the instruction that God gives them in this Exodus 29 now has relationship. It's relatable to a previous, their previous life in Egypt. It's traceable to what was known in Egypt previously. And not only that, you're going to see that in today's lesson. In today's lesson, you're going to see not just that. There's something even more compelling that we're going to see today. Nosotros vamos a ver aún más que eso, que la instrucción de Dios es relacionado normalmente, típicamente, humanamente, razonablemente con su vida pasada en Egipto. Vamos a descubrir hoy aún más contundente o, ¿cómo se dice?, impactante. Vamos a descubrir algo más allá hoy día. Seguro, en otras palabras, que no se va a poder debatir que eso es así. Okay? So, and I also want to remind everyone, remember that our topic is the actual meaning to holy. It is not. We're not teaching the chronological events of Mount Sinai or anything. I mean, we're in there, but that's not what I'm looking at. That's not where I'm coming from. So please, forgive any out of sequence type of stuff. We're not here dealing with the sequence of events. I'm going to go into that just a little bit today, but it's not the point. And because I say that because last week I think I said something where we were placing it before or after the golden calf, right? Where the Israel made the golden calf. So the point is not when it occurred, all right? The point is why it occurred. Okay, so it's not the when. It's the why. So I want to get that people to understand that, because we're human beings. We make it's not a mistake. It's just that I'm not looking at that point, and so I'm just keenly focused on the meaning of the word holy and not all the other stuff. And this would have been resolved, frankly, I tell you, because I've been doing the Old Testament Torah chapter by chapter until we started a series, different types of series, of which the Holy series is the latest one. So, my refresher course were these chapter by chapter progression through the Old Testament. So obviously now we're in an area. The last one I did was chapter 23 of Exodus. So now I'm beyond here for this holy teaching, and so I'm not refreshed on the chronology. So, but in any case, we continue. Lo que quería decir que mucha gente pone énfasis en el cuándo sucedió la cosa, pero el tema de esta serie no es el cuándo, sino por qué, el cómo, right? Y entonces eso es lo que es importante, lo que yo estoy estudiando, lo que yo estoy pensando en eso y no en la cronología, porque la semana pasada dije algo que quizás lo toman y quizás yo lo recuerdo así, puede ser, porque yo estoy hablando sin agenda aquí, sin bosquejo, alright, so entonces son las cosas que recuerdo en mi mente y lo nuevo que viene a través del Espíritu Santo, y no estoy pensando en la cronología. So, la semana pasada quizá dije algo que estaba fuera de la cronología en Éxodo. So, vamos a refrescarnos en la memoria de muchos años atrás ahora y verlo. Pero el punto de la enseñanza no es la cronología, sino el por qué hicieron la cosa que hicieron, no importando cuándo fue. All right? Because it doesn't make a difference when it happened. That's not the point. That does not affect why they did what they did. So let's go into, to give us some refresher understanding of where we're at. Vamos a ir a tratar de recordarnos. And we'll go to Exodus 20. Vamos a ir a Éxodo 20, porque el Éxodo 20 empieza sesión. And what I'm looking for is, where is Moses and where are the people? That's what we're looking for. That's the point. So we know that let's go to 19 actually. We're going to 19 because right, we need to go to 19. Vamos a ir al Éxodo 19. Entonces vamos a ir al fin. And the Lord said unto him, Away, get thee down, and thou shalt come up, thou and Aaron with thee. But let not the priests and the people break through to come up unto the Lord, lest they break forth, unless he break forth upon them. So Moses went down unto the people and spake unto them. That's 25, right? And he spoke to the people. Okay. Entonces Moisés bajó del monte ok, entonces sube Moisés otra vez porque Dios le dijo que subiese. So, entonces aquí no está el pueblo, ni el pueblo está oyendo. So, in Exodus 20, the people are not present. Okay? This is just Moses. And God spake all these words. Now, it doesn't mean that they can't hear. That's not something, because we'll see. This is where God gives Moses the 10 Commandments. Okay? And then after the 10 Commandments, this is what happens. Verse 18, and all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed. Well, actually in Hebrew, they shook and stood afar off. Right? And in other words, they retracted themselves from the mountain. The word here is that they quaked. They quaked, right? And that you have to see the Hebrew. Nosotros tenemos que entender que aquí el hebreo dice que se estremecieron, se temblaron fuerte la gente y se pusieron lejos. Pero sabemos más de detalle con el 19. And they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us. See? And we will hear, but let not God speak with us, lest we die. So the question is, if the people saw it and they just removed themselves and stood far off, where was their fear of dying? Where was that warranted? How is it warranted? Okay, not the topic of today's discussion. We already taught this long ago when we were here teaching in Exodus 20. Nosotros ya enseñamos sobre esto. Esto que ahora vamos a morir, ¿de dónde viene? You know, and you really understand where it's coming. You know, you're putting like this fake thing, like thundering, like you see thunder today, you're afraid of dying? And lightning and noise of the trumpet. Oh, that's a trumpet players. Don't play the trumpet because I'm going to die. It's ridiculous. You know, it's not that you're fearing death just because, and you knowing they're saying God is speaking. So it can't be that they're afraid of the mountain is smoking. Maybe it's going to be a volcano. Come on, God. They know that God is speaking. So entendemos que ellos sabían que Dios estaba hablando, no que había un volcán ahí, que vamos a morirnos con el volcán, no. Ellos saben que Dios está hablando, porque dicen a Moisés, mira lo que dicen. Dicen a Moisés, y dijeron a Moisés, habla tú con nosotros. y te oiremos, mas no hable Dios con nosotros para que no muramos. So, sí, que no es que el volcán se va a explotar, no por los truenos y los relámpagos, porque eso ya sabían. They've been living all their lives seeing thunder, and this is not the first time there was thunder in the sky. This is not the first time there was lightning. Esto no es el primer vez que vieron relámpago y trueno, oyeron trueno. ¿De dónde viene esta idea que iban a morir? Where did the idea come from that they would die? Because if you look at the Hebrew, si tú ves en el hebreo, usted verá que esta palabra no es adecuada. Simply, this word translation here is not adequate. It's missing something. What is it missing? It's missing the fact that they were shaking so much that many of them fell down dead. Or said, now, well, they weren't really dead, they were unconscious. But it was so bad, the trembling, because the word here in Hebrew is shifting, like this. Shifting. And if you do that, even yourself, you keep doing that yourself, some of you may get dizzy and may get weak and fall down. And this is apparently what was going on. But when the King James version, they didn't understand what this is. It had to be that they were just getting away because the context, the Hebrew context, they were just getting away. So they removed. They was going quick. Oh, let me get out of here. That was the thinking, because that's what happens when people think and they don't transliterate. They think that the thinking is more important than the transliteral meaning, the literal word. And that's what happened there. You can't, hey, listen, there's a lot of word of God here to translate, right? So it's not like we're blaming them, It's understandable, but we need to understand. Nosotros somos los que tenemos que entender de que estos son los problemas cuando el humano empieza a ¿cómo se dice? A interpretar aquí, a translación, right? A trasladar esta palabra en hebreo al inglés. ¿Qué quiere decir? No tiene sentido, no sabemos a qué se refiere, por qué se usa esto, pero tiene que ser en el contexto, hay que ir con el contexto hebreo. Pues entonces se estaban echaron pie. Eso es lo que dice la versión del rey Jaime, pero la literal translación iba a ser mejor porque eso entonces da credibilidad, da sustancia a si no vamos a morir, right? Si Dios sigue hablando con nosotros vamos a morir, que fue el temor que tenía Israel. Entonces veían con sus ojos gente cayéndose. So they saw with their own eyes people falling down and said, we're going to die here. This is like too much. We can't bear it. All right, so now that gives it more credible. The literal translation of the word in Hebrew, which would have been the people were shifted and they ran away. So then, and because of your shifting, there's people falling down. There's people going to be falling down. There's old people. There's that shifting happening. There's a whole lot of shaking going on. All right, so they weren't having that. And I just wanted to point that out because we have to understand how things are happening and why they're happening. Okay. So, and we went through all this. We taught on this. Moses is now addressing to the people. And then, so let's look at this. And the people stood afar off, el 21. And Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where God was. So Moses is going towards God, the people are going away. Okay. Moisés estaba acercándose a Dios y la gente moviéndose más lejos. And the Lord said unto Moses, y Jehová dijo a Moisés, thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, because they can't hear me now, right? Now you no me pueden oír. So you got to understand this. God is saying to Moses, they can't hear me now. You and I are speaking. They don't want to hear me, but I'm talking to you. Okay? And it says here, ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. Oh, tell the children of Israel, right? So ye have seen. So he's telling the children of Israel, ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. Ye shall not make me gods of silver. No me hará Dios de plata, neither shall ye make unto you gods of gold. No harán dioses de oro. See? Who is he telling this to? Literally. ¿A quién está Dios dirigiéndose literalmente, directamente? A Moisés, no al pueblo. O sea, el pueblo no oye. El pueblo no oyó eso. No hará dioses a mí, ¿ok? So, entiende esto. So that's why I went back here, because I wanted to point out that God did not get a chance to tell them directly, do not make gods. Do not make images, statues, nothing. And it says, unto me. Right? This is the key. Usted tiene que entender esto. Que dijo Dios, no, vamos a mirarlo en el español. Let's get this out again. No haréis conmigo dioses de plata, ni os haréis dioses de oro. Okay? So, eso lo Dios está diciendo, no haréis. Dice conmigo. Now, conmigo, how are you taking that? It's just simply, do not make a statue of me. Simple. No haréis una estatua a mí. You know? So, and then, you know what would be a good thing? Vamos a mirar en el hebreo. So let's go to Blue Letter, and let's go to Exodus 20. What was that? 20? (2023) 2023. And just let's look at the words that are used here. Vamos a ver lo que se usa aquí en el hebreo. You shall not make with me et Elohim. Elohim, right, of silver, neither make Asa and make Elohim Za'av. Okay? Does it say? Let me see.
Page 2091.
Zahav. Right? So, entonces, no haréis Elohim Zahav. Now, they put this as in the small g. You see that? Ellos ponen esto en small g. Queriendo decir otro dioses. Otro dioses. Right? Que no hagan otro dioses. Que no hagan otro dioses. But you have to understand that, Hebrew, this was not written down at the time. Esto no fue escrito en ese momento, en aquel momento. La Torah no fue escrito en estos tiempos. And esos libros originales se desvanecieron y todo fue, porque Israel fue llevado cautiverio, todo se perdió y todo quedó en tradición oral. And so we have only Israel later on would be taken in captivity, both Israel and then Judah eventually. And these weren't down in manuscripts. This manuscripting and writing this down came much later. So this thing is from oral tradition. That's what we're seeing. Oral tradition. And then what you're seeing also is religious interpretation tradition, otherwise known as Hebrew context. Nosotros estamos viendo entonces también la tradición hebreica o hebreo religioso de interpretación de la tradición oral. Son dos tradiciones de la memoria de los cantores que recitaban el Torah de memoria, y también entonces la interpretación cuando se escribió de los los escribas. So then you had the interpretive license of the scribes writing down from the oral tradition, escribiendo de la tradición oral, la memoria, the memories of it. Okay, and no doubt that God was supporting that, right? No vamos a dudar que Dios no estaba apoyando eso. But people are people. The spirit is subject to the prophet. La gente son gente y el espíritu está sujeto al profeta, dice la escritura. El hombre influencia, okay, un poco hay. So there's always going to be some type of human influence. I've seen it myself all the time. You see human influence, it changes things that God is sending down the pipe, Dios está mandando, yo he visto, aún en la experiencia de mi vida, yo he visto que Dios está dando mensajes, está mandando alguna información a personas, y la gente siempre le inyectan algo, siempre ponen una perspectiva así, siempre le añaden una interpretación automática. Eso es como instante. And all I'm saying here is that why isn't this Elohim? In other words, why isn't this do not make of me gods of silver, right? Gods of silver. In other words, statues, idols. En otra palabra, ídolos de oro. A mí. Elohim. Because he calls himself Elohim. Porque él se llama Elohim, right? Se refiere a Israel, cuando le dice a Israel en Deuteronomy 6:4, Elohim. So he's calling himself Elohim. Neither shall ye make unto you Elohim, hello, Elohim, of gold. See, why isn't it Yahweh himself? Why are we interpreting this as other gods and not Yahweh himself? ¿Por qué no estamos viendo? And especially, listen, I'm going to show you why this is unnecessary in the way it's being recorded here, by the scholars, it was unnecessary. Why? Look at this. I'm going to show you. See, this is, the thing is that God is not dumb. God isn't dumb. So, you see that? Why would he need to say this when he already finished saying to Moses, thou shalt have no other gods before me? It's in the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. Okay, etc., etc. Why? He spent 3 verses here telling, in the Ten Commandments, telling the children of Israel, do not serve or make images, make idol, no hagas, Dios says, no hagáis ídolos, no hagas estatuas, imágenes. 3 versículos, ya lo dijo en los 10 mandamientos, ya lo dijo. ¿Por qué se está traduciendo que esto son los otros dioses otra vez? Y no lo que yo estoy sugiriendo que sea, es Jehová mismo. O sea, no haga de mí un dios ídolo de plata ni de oro. Okay? And so this is the thing. And why would God want that to be known exactly? See, now it makes sense that now he says it directly about himself. Don't make a statue of me. Because that is different than the other thing, right? There are no other gods beside me. Thou shalt make no graven image. Okay, so we're talking about the other gods. But how about Jehovah? What are we? How are we to venerate you? He's telling them, don't make a statue of silver, and don't make a statue of Elohim in gold. Not other gods, me. No otro dioses, me. Yahweh, no hagan otra estatua de mí. Entonces, eso es diferente que lo que ya dijo en algunos versos pasados. No tienen que hacer lo mismo, repetir lo mismo. So, this is important that we see what was told to Moses. And again, in this time, Moses is the only one hearing this. Okay? After this, it goes to Exodus 21, and God continues talking with Moses. So Moses did not return down to the people. Here it goes all the way to 23, 24. So I'm going to go, I'm not sure if this is going to the next one. Let's see. No, okay. We're going to go 22, 23. Vamos a ir a 22 a 23 para ver. Todavía están las instrucciones. Okay, muchas instrucciones, juicios, still, thou shalt not raise false reports. That was made famous in this political atmosphere we're in. Éxodo 23, Éxodo 23. Todavía dando instrucción, Éxodo 24. And now, and he said unto Moses, come up unto the Lord, thou and so let's look at the end of 23. We see that he goes back. Vamos a ver que sube para arriba otra vez. So let's go back to 23. Okay, so apparently at the end of 23, again, I'm speeding through it, and there may be a more direct mention, and we'll come to that when we go through these chapters, when we continue them. But then he says, but here we see, and he said unto Moses, come up unto the Lord. So we see that there was some type of break. There was some type of break between the chapter 23 and now chapter 24. Había un break, un descanso parece, entre 23 y 24. No Shabbat, pero parece un descanso de Dios hablando a Moisés, y entonces habló otra vez a Moisés. And he tells him, come up to the Lord, thou and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. Así que está mandando que buscase estos representativos de Israel que adorasen de lejos. Y Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. So está diciendo, ustedes vienen, ellos quedan lejos, usted solo viene hasta mí. And Moses came, so then he goes down and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the judgments. So, and the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which the Lord hath said we will do, which means to the 10 Commandments, and which mean not making Elohim a statue, right? Not making Elohim gold, silver or gold. Ajá. So, esto quiere decir que ellos estaban de acuerdo de no hacer de todo lo que Dios dijo, right? Estamos en el Éxodo 24, all right? Now, it could be, he says all the words. So, we have to conclude that it's all the words, including the 10 Commandments. Así que Dios entonces, Moisés, tenemos que concluir que fueron todas las palabras, no solamente lo último que Dios dijo aquí. Right? It makes sense. But again, it's not telling you, thank goodness it doesn't repeat all the words so that we know for sure these were all the words. We just take it that it was all the words. And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord, and rose up early in the morning, and builded an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars according to 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood and put it into basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. Again, according to the things that God had said. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that the Lord has said we will do, and be obedient. See? So, todavía estoy buscando and still Moses, God dealing with Moses, get him up into the mountain again. So there was a consistent up and down, para arriba y para abajo, en el monte. And then was the first offering to come to God. El primera ofrenda que Dios pide del pueblo. Right? And this again was in preparation of the things of God, the priesthood and the tabernacle, right? Esto es en preparación de el sacerdocio y el tabernáculo. So Dios pide la ofrenda de la gente. Okay, so that's coming in. So this is what's going on. All right? And it was after this, so again, it was some time, era un tiempo, because all of this had to be done, started getting collected, right? So they were putting all this together. And then we have the tabernacle, get the tabernacle, 26, la construcción del tabernáculo, cómo hacerla, las cortinas, las cosas. El traje, el vestimento de Aarón, el arca del pacto, right? Then we got more of the tabernacle, more of the fittings, 28. Okay, so all of this is going on. And take unto thee Aaron, right? And Aaron's sons, as they make holy garments. We already did this, right? In the holy series. Hicimos esto so we're getting, so you see that Israel was told all the words of the Lord. Usted ve que Israel fue dado todas las palabras de Dios, incluyendo no haráis imágenes de otros dioses, right? Y también no haréis conmigo o de mí, en mi suposición, Elohim de plata o Elohim de oro, refiriéndose a él. So and he said, don't do it. There's no reason to take it any other way because of what we already examined. Así que vemos que cuando no aparece Moisés, so ese es el punto que parece que now, okay, so wait a minute here. Now we're catching this. Wait a minute. So vemos, sí. So durante estos momentos usted vio que hicieron unos sacrificios. Because that we just saw just a minute ago, right? Había sacrificio de becerros. Again. See? So había sacrificio de becerro. Now, remember the correlation with los dioses de Egipto. Vemos la correlación con los dioses de Egipto. En los becerros. Ya se presentó becerros. Okay? Y, hey, listen. But they were killing them. They were killing them. So they weren't the gods. They weren't venerating them as gods. So here is the matter. And I'm going to show you. So we see how things start developing. Right. So now let us go into some Egyptology. Vamos a ir a algún estudio de los egipcios y cómo veneraban los becerros. En Egipto se veneraban los becerros. Habían varios cultos. So there were various cults in Egypt worshiping different forms of the bull, the oxen, the bull. So here we have bull cults were popular. This is from an ancient EgyptOnline.co.uk. And here we see bull cults were popular from at least the first dynasty, the early dynastic period. The powerful and virile bull was associated with the pharaoh, who sometimes took the epithet strong bull of his mother. As early as 3100 BC, the king is depicted in the form of a bull. Remember that the pharaoh also was supposedly God in a human form, because this is what the Egyptians would believe. Ellos creían, los egipcios, que el faraón era Dios también encarnado. Y por eso se vestía y se ponía los símbolos de los dioses que veneraban, porque él era la personificación del Dios de ellos. en diferentes tiempos y épocas del desarrollo del imperio egipcio y de la civilización egipcia. So, a sacred bull was identified by specific sacred markings. Once the bull had been confirmed as the incarnation of a god. So the bull was an incarnation of a god. It was housed in plush quarters, given only the best food, provided with a harem of the best cows. Ooh. The lucky animal would live in the lap of luxury until its death, when it would be mummified and buried with full honors. Okay. So you start seeing the Egyptian practice. The bull will eventually die. How did they handle that? Well, simply they mummified it, they gave it honor, but something had to happen. Are you thinking? Algo tenía que pasar ahora. Que este becerro murió de vejez. Y entonces que lo momifican y lo honran. Y entonces ahora, ¿qué se va a hacer ahora? Usted tiene que pensar. Okay, the Apis bull, the most famous of the bull cults, is undoubtedly that of the Apis bull, known as the Hapis bull or Happy Ankh. The bull was the incarnation of a god, but unlike the other animal totems, who only provided a link to the god, the Apis was thought to host the god himself. Entonces, los demás animales que usaban los egipcios para representar dioses solo eran relacionados, eran unos medios a Dios, al Dios particular. Eran medios. Pero el apis, el becerro, era el único que era el Dios en sí encarnado. So the bull, the Apis bull, was the only one that was the host and the incarnation of God himself, of the God that the Apis represented, right? Remember, we're talking about concepts here. There's no other gods, period. Don't be like, oh, the other god. Those are pagan gods. Those are gods. No, there's no gods. God said there was no gods. God did not create any other gods. Hello. Dios no creó otros dioses. Es que es increíble la gente como piensan casi igual que esta gente. Dios no creó otros dioses. No existen otros dioses. Okay? So, again, entonces, ¿por qué estamos hablando de esto? Porque son conceptos. Y en la realidad que no hay otro Dios y solo hay un Dios, el verdadero Dios que creó los cielos y la tierra, es interesante estos conceptos. Don't you think so? So these concepts become important because there are no other gods. Don't you see? It makes it even more compelling and reasoned for God to make attempts and of influencing human thinking that it was far away from God, to bring them back. Como el hombre había destituido de la gloria de Dios para el intento de traerlos, regresarlos para atrás al conocimiento de Yahweh, de la verdad, del verdadero Dios que hizo los cielos y la tierra, to bring them back into a knowledge of the God who created the heavens and the earth. It makes perfect sense that God will influence and foster the creation of concepts that teach the truth, that teach truths. Okay? Are they understanding these truths? Are they putting one with the other? Of course not. They have no basis for it. That's coming later. but that God is establishing some foundational ideation and familiarity with the Egyptians as well as other people. They weren't the only ones. But within the Egyptian empire, there was a group of people there called Israel. And how much did the Egyptian concepts of life and knowledge, how much did it influence the Israelites in Egypt? So tenemos que entender que si Dios está alcanzando al hombre tratando de traer un fundamento, por lo menos un fundamento en el mundo de conceptos, algunos conceptos que señalen a alguna verdad que Dios quiere, no es fuera de la lógica ni de la razón que Dios influencia a los egipcios en su religión, en su mentalidad, en su concepto intelectual, conceptos que establecen un base para verdades que Dios va a amplificar en el futuro. Y como vemos, aquí también en Egipto había un pueblito, Israel, que estaban aquí dentro, como 300 años. ¿Cómo era la influencia? El impacto de las creencias egipcias, los conceptos con Israel. You know? Y que Moisés, ¿quién era Moisés? El hijo de adoptivo, el hijo rescatado del Nilo, del río Nilo, de Faraón. Fue estudiado en las escuelas, los maestros de Faraón. Please. Y fíjese que los reyes le daban enseñanza en lo que es el sacerdocio, en la religión, lo que representaba. You know, Moses knew the religion, the Egyptian religion. He knew the religious concepts. That's what they studied. They had to be ready for becoming Pharaoh of Egypt, so they had to know what it's all about. So these concepts had to be known. So the Apis bull was originally viewed. So here we see, before Israel, we see that the bull was thought to host the God himself. Okay? So understand that. See? Now the Apis bull was originally viewed as a manifestation of Ptah. However, I'm not pronouncing these things particularly any which way, just the way it is, just to save time. And so there's more on this on the mythology, the Egyptian mythology here. The discovery of an Apis was always cause for a celebration. Herodotus claimed that the Persian king Cambyses was annoyed that the Egyptians held a celebration the day after he defeated them in battle. When he discovered that they were celebrating the birth of a god, he demanded to see the god immediately. The Apis was brought to him, and he killed and ate the bull, to the horror of the Egyptians. Okay? However, Egyptian records suggest that Cambyses actually took part in the ceremony recognizing the Apis. So the story is probably more symptomatic of the Egyptians' general dislike of Persian rulers. So again, were the Egyptians astonished at the killing of the Apis? Right? See, they had an effect. It had an effect on the Egyptians that someone would come and kill this bull. See? So at minimum, that symbology also had to be translated to the Hebrews, right? When the oxen was sacrificed. Simple as that. Right? So at the basis, cuando se sacrificaron el becerro en los capítulos 25, 26, o 27, cuando ocurrió ahí, cuando vimos ahorita que Dios pidió que Moisés celebró y ofreció los becerros. Está entendiendo el impacto que representa eso. ¿Qué quiere decir? What could be considered with that? What could be the idea? We're going to understand something. Now, yes, some of you may have said it's the killing of the gods of Egypt and of the principal god of Egypt at that. Usted quizá podría decir que esto es el matar el dios principal de los egipcios. Okay? And that's okay, and that's good. That's a nice observation. But let's continue. An Apis, you're going to see something else when we get through. An Apis calf was black with a white diamond on its forehead, an image of an eagle on its back, double the number of hairs on its tail, the sign of the scarab tongue. It was thought that a flash of lightning struck the cow, or whatever. That's their story. The mother of an Apis was held in great regard. The mother of an Apis was held in great regard. And given the title Isis cow. There could only be the one Apis at a time. The search for a replacement bull would begin with the death of the current Apis. So the bull would be replaced. The new Apis was transported to Memphis on a decorated boat built specifically for the purpose. Okay. When an Apis bull died, the body was embalmed and buried with full honors in a manner befitting royalty. The animal was carefully embalmed, mummified, before being interred in the Serapeum in a stone sarcophagus that could weigh over 60 tons. The festival of the Apis bull lasted for 7 days. Here we see festivals. So there were festivals in Egypt. This one lasted 7 days. The sacred bull was led through the streets as the people cheered. According to the legend, any child who smelled the breath of the Apis would be able to read the future, as the Apis was thought to be a powerful oracle. Oh, my goodness. Okay. All right, and so and another thing that was done is during the Ptolemaic period, a new god named Serapis was devised to try to bring the Greek and Egyptian people together. Serapis absorbed some of the attributes of Zeus, Asclepius, and Dionysus, and merged them with some of the attributes of Osiris and some of the attributes of the Apis. All right. So again, this is shown. What it shows you is the way ancient cultures used the symbols of these animals, particularly these animals, in the development of their social context, the religious context, the social context, their understanding of things around them, of the world, of life, of nature. So vemos que la gente en las culturas antiguas usaban estos símbolos para poner definición, significancia a su vida, a la naturaleza, al conocimiento, conceptos. Y esto era la práctica aún cuando se trataba de fomentar la unión o la paz entre dos culturas. Usaban y modificaban los dioses que compartían, o sea, que tenían atributos que se podían mezclar y hacer un dios para unir los dos culturas, con conceptos similares y traer familiarización y asociación. So they try to foster familiarity and association through creating or modifying or transliterizing or translating, I should say, translating the gods from one culture with the gods of the other and to bring and to metamorphose a new or a common God. I'm saying that this is the same God we have here. This is the God that you have there. Okay, similar thing was done in trying to bring Yeshua and Jesus as Jesus being the pronounceable name for the Hebrew prophet, right? For Yeshua, and to bring bring a union between the Greek and the and the Jewish culture together, and that was also a practice. This was always going to be done, and it was something also done by the Romans to a great degree with what the Greeks did, and I'm sure by many cultures before this. It wasn't new. It's not a new thing. It was the way of doing things, simply. Esto no era cosas nuevas de hacer, sino era la manera que se hacía. Para unir los conocimientos, para unir para unir las culturas, las naciones. So this was something that was done. Now we have the Bacchus bull, the cult Bacchus, vaca. Like in Spanish, we called vaca for the cow. You see. And look at where the possibility that this has come from. Vaca, right, was also popular. The bull had a black face with a white body. So this is another bull, another god manifestation of the Ka, life force of the war god Montu or Manchu, worshipped in the region of Hermonthis. The cult was also associated with Raz. Raz, the ram. So esta cultura de la vaca, del becerro, también asociado con la del cordero, ¿sí? El ram, and to a lesser extent Osiris. And Ka es la palabra egipta para becerro. ¿Sí? So that's Ka. The cult was centered around Armon. So now you know where vaca. Now look, usan en español vaca. In Spanish it's vaca, and it's very similar to the bac that you see there. To the vaca here, you see that? So in Spanish it's not spelled the same, but it's pronounced practically the same way. So it could be derived from these ancient words, simply the Egyptian word for bull. Now the cult was centered around Ammon, to where generations of mummified bulls with their mothers were interred in the Bukham. Now the reason I'm reading this for you, some of you may be putting to sleep, and it's unfortunate if you're sleeping. It's because you need to energize your brain, and I'm not being offensive to you. You really do, because this stuff is so fascinating. You shouldn't be falling asleep. Falling asleep means that you have a weak mind. And I'm just pointing that out. I know people get upset, but it's just true. La mente se descansa cuando no tiene agilidad. So, lo que se siente un poco dormido con esto es que ustedes necesitan practicar la mente, usar la mente más. Es sencillo, ¿no? There's nothing here that's boring. Don't even think it. It is your lack of mental agility, simply. So, get on with it. So nosotros debemos entender su falta de agilidad mental, okay? So progrese, force yourself, pinch yourself, and learn this stuff, because this is a very important stuff, actually. Estas son cosas muy importantes. Okay, the tombs, and the reason is because you're going to miss certain key information. It's in here. Hay cosas aquí dentro que usted no le va a captar porque no está poniendo atención. Los detalles. Okay, so that's why I'm reading it so you can understand that there's relationships that you need to realize. But okay, so and then they say some of the tombs contained a large star of funerary equipment, while others contain only the mummy of the Bacchus. Some of the more recent Bacchus mummies were interred in the passages which link the older tombs, and all the burials date from the late period. Okay, just the development of burying these mummies. The Nephthys bull, Nephthys, was the sacred bull of Heliopolis. The bull was usually completely black, but if that was not possible, a white bull was also acceptable. The chosen bull was also known as the Kenwer, or Great Black. In time, the bull came to be associated with the more popular Apis bull. Okay, so again, notice that the associations over time with the main bull, because these were all like permutations. As we know, the main bull was the host bull. These bulls were mostly linked to their representative gods, right? But the main god, the Apis, was the god incarnated. So that's the idea. Okay, so what we're looking at is, after we have a concept, lo que estamos viendo es que después que haya un concepto, se tiende a hacer modificaciones. Se aplican los conceptos en otros grados y otros cultos, otras personas, y adoptan la idea, pero es otro Dios, de otra forma, right? Pero el concepto es similar o deriva del original o del mayor, que es el de Apis. So we're looking at possibly the development of modified versions of the Apis bull, the original concept, the great concept, right? And then you have these modified lesser gods, but still with the bull form, related, associated, somewhat similarly derived, but not the same, right? Because we know that the only one that hosted the god was Apis, the Apis himself, right? Itself. So, again, the human tendency to modify and to extend. This is what we're looking at. But the main concept is what it is. El concepto principal es lo que es. Entonces estos son conceptos formadas, sobre o después de lo primario. There's very little information. I'm sorry. The bull was associated with Ra, possibly also with Min, and we're going to look at Min in a second. But when Akhenaten abandoned the other gods in favor of the Aten, he claimed that he would maintain the Nephthys cult. The cult may have retained his favor because of its solar associations, but archaeologists have not discovered any indication that Pharaoh made good on his promise. All right, so let's see here. So the main issue about this bull is that it has the solar disk. La parte principal de este becerro es que se asociaba con el sol, que tiene el disco solar, que, by the way, también es un representante de Baal, right? So this is also the solar disk is representative of Baal, right? Of the Bible fame. This is that's what's associated with it. Let's look at Min for a second. Min is another god. It says ancient Egyptian god whose worship dates back to the pre-dynastic times. His early images are the oldest examples of large-scale statuary. So they made the large statues, are the oldest examples that we find of his so far. He was worshipped by King Scorpion of the earlier dynastic period, and his symbol appears on the El Amra palette, which is also known as the Min palette. His cult may have developed from the worship of his fetish, which was thought to be a barbed arrow, a thunderbolt, or a fossilized. So this is very ancient stuff, right? As time progressed, you can see the signet here They were just symbols associated. As time progressed, he was giving a human form. So, as you see here, esto es el dios Min. Fue uno de los más antiguos dioses egipcios. Y él fue representado por unos símbolos. Right? Pero al progresar el tiempo, fíjese, al progresar el tiempo le dieron una forma humana. ¿Sí? Dicen que usted ve la manera que piensa y desarrolla las cosas. So le dieron una forma humana represented by the Min standard, which resembles a double-headed arrow and a hook. Alternative Min initially represented the constellation Orion and was thought to control thunder and rain. Right? Min. This connection with Orion also connected Min with Horus. And again, there's more to read here. I mean, we're not here to really study Egyptian theology, or as we call it, mythology. But the reason that we're doing this is for you to see the relationships to the things that Yahweh requests of Israel and the things that Israel themselves did. Ustedes estamos viendo esto esto de los egipcios solo porque hay cosas que Dios se refiere y cosas que Israel hizo que tienen que ver con este base que estamos viendo aquí. Mira lo que dice aquí. Now you have here that Min was associated with Amun. Min era asociado con Amun y Amun con Ra. También, que Min era Amun-Ra, por eso dicen los dos juntos, Amun-Ra, during the New Kingdom. Partly because both were linked to the ram. Los dos estaban asociados con el cordero, you understand? Y el becerro, los dos. Both of which were seen as symbols of virility. So, los dos de estos símbolos o los dos de estos animales y dioses eran reconocidos como símbolos de virilidad, o sea, de lo sexual, de vida. Entonces, cuando estamos hablando de sexo, de vida, de nacimiento, estamos hablando de vida. Y esto es la razón que estas asociaciones son importantes. So they are associated with things of life. So the idea of life and the progression and the continuance of life is very much associated with the bull and the ram. So vemos que la vida está asociado en la egiptología con el becerro y el cordero. And remember what we studied last week, what we saw, right? Now, this is very interesting. And those of you who stayed awake, you're going to be treated to a surprise. Aquí está la sorpresa para aquellos que se mantuvieron despiertos. Aquí está, mira. That's why you got to do the research. You got to stay awake. In later periods, Min was linked to Reshep, the Semitic god. El dios semético, Reshep. Fíjese. So aquí está la conexión con los seméticos, de donde están también Israel, lo base de Israel. Los seméticos tenían un dios llamado Reshep. Era un dios de guerra y de trueno. ¿Sí? Los seméticos. Both gods, now you saw what happened at Mount Sinai, right? Both gods were thought to be married to Kadesh. Los dos dioses estaban pensados ser casados con Kadesh. Hello? Kadesh? Remember when we talked about where Kadosh, right? Where it came from? Ustedes recuerdan cuando estamos estudiando sobre what is holy. This is one of the first classes we had. What is holy? And in Hebrew it's kadosh, kadosh. But there is also the word kadesh. And we were talking about why they're almost the same. They're written the same. Why are these two things? And what does kadesh mean? Kadesh, if you remember, anyone remember? ¿Qué quiere decir kadesh? Recuerden. Kadesh se refiere a una mujer prostituta. So kadesh refers to a prostitute. Look at what kadesh, the god kadesh is. Right? Kadesh, the Semitic love goddess. El dios de amor para los seméticos. ¿Sí? So, usted está viendo los orígenes. ¿Right? Los orígenes de lo que es las cosas que usted está viendo y tratando de entender de lo que dice Dios, lo que está enseñando Dios a Israel en estos textos, en estos capítulos que estamos leyendo. Here you're beginning to see the origins of terms, of words. Why the similarities? Why is there similarity? Why is the Kadesh a Semitic love goddess, and then the Hebrews consider Kadesh a prostitute? Was that by accident, or is there a link with Kadesh in the Semitic culture? It has to be. It was maintained. It is maintained in Scripture. Es mantenido en la Escritura. And then Kadosh. Only a Kadosh is only because of the context. In other words, the context makes it Kadosh or Kadesh. Si es la palabra Kadosh o Kadesh, es definido por el contexto, no por cómo se escribe. Se escribe igual. So it's written the same way. It's only the context that defines if this is Kadosh or Kadesh. And then look at what it says here. It is perhaps unsurprising, I agree, that the Greeks linked men to their fertility god. So what you see is that later on the Greeks would come and say, oh, what's this? What's this god? What's this god? Oh, this is... And they would link them to the gods that they have. Okay? He was a god of the eastern desert and a god and patron of the traveling caravan. Now, his association with the desert made it a related to the god Set. Now, Set has a dark history. Okay, and I'm not going to get too much into this. It gets a little sexual. Esto se llega a ser un poco muy sexual para nosotros hoy día. So, it's just something for you to read. This is at ancientegyptonline.co.uk, and you can read more about this. I'm not going to get into it because it really has nothing to do at this point with what we are dealing with, except that Set is a negative. They try to rehabilitate him in terms of the concept, but he just remained, or finally just was remained, or was left to be an evil influence, an evil thing, almost like Satan. Now, if the Satan and the Set has some relationship there, I'm just throwing it out there. I really haven't looked into it. Maybe next week I'll do that for you. But Set is related or associated with the night and the moon. Set está relacionado con la noche y la luna. Y el otro dios, because I'm not reading it for you, so then I forget which one is the one related with the daytime. And I think I can find it here in the set. Yeah. So, yeah, because Horus, I think, is the one that was associated with the daytime. Let's see here if I can find that for you, and then we'll end that part here. All right, so there is a part here. I'm trying to rush through this because I know you guys can't handle too much. But then in doing that, then it slows me up because it's not the way I wanted to go through it. Yo no quería aguantarme mucho en tratando de cortarlo, pero entonces eso también trae el problema de que estoy buscando por ciertas cosas. And really I was going to read through it so that you guys can read and see things for yourself. Something to talk about the set animal, because of the Greek identification with type, is a dog or jackal-like creature. I mentioned this because the dog in the Bible has certain connotations, right? So it's related to Set. El perro está relacionado con Set, entonces ya la Biblia habla de los perros y tienen su connotación negativo, también está relacionado con Set en este tratamiento, ¿no? And again, you guys can read this in the website Ancient Egypt Online to get all the little goody details, and there's a lot of goodies here. Okay. The other interesting thing also, okay, so here. Yeah, so during the Old Kingdom and the Middle Kingdom, Horus the Elder and Set represented Upper and Lower Egypt. Remember, Lower Egypt also one time was considered hell. That was the underworld. It was it was the under Egypt, and you have the Upper Egypt. They were often depicted together, symbolizing the union of Upper and Lower Egypt. He was equal to the hawk god, if not always his ally. Horus represented the sky during the daytime. This is what I want to get. Horus representaba el cielo en el día, while Set represented the nighttime sky, mientras que Set representaba el cielo de noche, o sea, la oscuridad de la noche. Eso era así el uso, o sea, una de las definiciones o representaciones de ese Dios en estos en Egipto. When these two gods were linked, the two were said to be Horus Set, a man with two heads, one of the hawk of Horus and the other of the Set animal. Después, y la enseñanza de esto durante mayoría de la historia de Egipto era que no había un balance, lo malo, la oscuridad, la noche, y lo bueno, el día, ¿ok? Entonces los dos mantenían, como decir, un equilibrio. Pero en más tiempos más modernos, in modern times, they represented that equilibrium of day and night and good and evil. But later on, they created, I believe it was through the influence of Jewish and Christian influences and concept, influencing the nations of the world, obviously, that they made it change to reflect that the daytime overcame and won. is victorious over the nighttime. So, así que en las tradiciones judías, cristianos y en influencia en estos y conceptos hicieron que el día venciera, era victorioso sobre la noche y set. So, lo malo no gana, sino el bueno gana. So the good defeats the evil, and that is the teaching that, like it says here, some historians have argued that the battle between Set and Horus was a mythological representation of the struggle to unite Egypt under one ruler. According to this theory, the followers of Horus were successful, and so Set was pushed into the background. Okay, so and that's one of the ideas that they're giving the different opinions or different views of this dichotomy between Set and Horus. Then goes into more stories here. And we have Set, and here we have this. This is a little interesting tidbit here. Set was thought to have white skin and red hair. And people with red hair were thought to be his followers. This is what they thought. He was associated with the desert, which takes its name from the Egyptian word desert, right? So the word we use today for desert is actually an Egyptian word, and meaning the red place. And the red place has to deal with Set. And also because if he was the one who would take people to death, to the underworld, going into the desert would be certain death in those ancient times. You see how they developed these concepts from the realities of life, of nature around them. So, it's not hard for a culture to develop an understanding that life is here with the community, is here within the city, is here with the population. But if you leave and go into the desert, you die. That is death. See? And that's the desert is there. And as the sun rose, why is it the red place, the desert? Is the desert really red? It could have been reddish, but I would venture to say that, with the morning sun, the morning sunrise, you have that very deep reddish coloration as it breaks, and you see the desert, and you see the desert sands all red. I think that is where they say that's where people die over there. He represented the fierce dry heat of the sun as it parched the land and was infertile like the desert. Initially, he probably represented the desert near Nut, but soon he represented all deserts and foreign lands, becoming a god of overseas trade as it develops. See, so if he's over there and everything over there is foreign, now anything later on, as you make more contact with other civilizations, other nations, then Set becomes a representation of all those other people and the trading between them and all that, and then it becomes associated with that God. You see that? Así que el entender se desarrolla de que el hecho de que allá en el desierto, allá afuera de nuestros contornos, hay muerte. Y se ve rojo por la mañana, la madrugada, y el sol que sube y se ve rojo, y también entonces todos los demás lugares desert, right? Entonces después se desarrolla que todos los demás son asociados con Set y son malos, son naciones bajo el régimen de Set, right? Because of the developing modification and the growth, or the knowledge of the world as it expands, then Set also expanded to encompass now trade, in this case trade, but the concept that a god can begin, just with this, this scope, And then as time progresses and the world expands, people discover that the world is bigger than what they thought it was. We see that the role then expands to encompass a greater degree of scope. But this also can be seen in many other things. Can it be? Puede ser que se aplica también al pensar de las naciones gentiles y la manera que los hebreos perciben o tengan a través de la escritura el concepto que los demás, right? Cuando Dios dice ustedes son mi peculiar tesoro, entonces los demás, ¿qué son? Los demás, como los judíos, los hebreos dicen, son perros, right? Pero el perro está relacionado con quién? Con Seth. Hello. So the dog, so they can, when we're talking about other things about Hebrews and Gentile nations and all of that, we come to and we see that in the Bible refers to Gentiles as dogs. But where did this concept come from? Is the concept coming from Seth? That everything outside in the desert, everything outside of where we're at is Seth. It's a dog. It's outside of our life, of where life is. The concept of being part of this group is that in this group, in our immediate neighborhood, this is life. We are living. And people who are going out into the foreign land, they are dying. They die. That's death. And that's the land of Set, the evil one. You see? Usted está entendiendo que el concepto es que los que están vivos, los que son vivos son nosotros aquí en esta comunidad. Entonces los demás que están allá, los demás que salen de nosotros mueren. Eso es la muerte. Ahí está el enemigo, Set, right? O nosotros decimos hoy día Satán. Son aquellos, son los perros, los gentiles. Allá están en el tierra de Set, de Satán. So, vemos que el concepto está amplificado desde un centro y amplificado hacia afuera. So we see that the truth is focused on this main, this basic concept, which is local. It's local. We are alive. We are here. We are living, and then going out from us is death. Going out there is desert, and out there is Set, and that's evil. And people die. They go out and they leave our community, and so that basic concept it's originated by desert life, by the realities of nature and life. The teaching comes from what is around. Now, this does not in any way, solo porque this does not degrade the truth, the spiritual truths at all. Esto no degrada o quita de las enseñanzas espirituales de ninguna forma. Simply, ¿por qué están viviendo entre desiertos? See, why are these people in a place where it's all desert around them to begin with? Why did God make it that way? Because absolutely, God could have made it, like Puerto Rico, pineapples and coconut trees and lush greenery and rivers and waterfalls and wonderful nature and flowers all around. This is great. God could have done that. Dios podía haber hecho un paraíso en Puerto Rico, allí alrededor de estos civilizaciones antiguas. ¿Por qué el desierto? ¿Sí? I mean, what was the big idea here? Si tú estás haciendo algo, ¿qué es lo que? Si Dios está en control, if God is in control and He's doing stuff, what is He doing? Why did he change the climate? Because we know it wasn't always that way. Sabemos que no siempre era así. It all became desert. But why did he do that? Oh my goodness. It wasn't desert before. No era desierto antes. Pero sí se puso a ser desierto, particularmente cuando ya Israel estaba en Egipto. I'm not saying right before then. Yo no estoy diciendo que sucedió ahí mismo cuando ellos llegaron. No. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, when Israel got to Egypt, then everything turned into a desert around to begin the teaching. No. God knows this is going to happen, slow process. But the development of the concepts, all of it, throughout many years, a través de muchos años de desarrollo de estos conceptos, y vemos que todo cae preciso. So we see that everything falls into place precisely to forge the teaching of basic and important concepts. And so this is the takeaway from today's class. You see that we did just a little, we're just scratching the surface. Nosotros solo aquí estamos, ¿cómo se dice? Solo empezando a quitar lo externo y meternos al grano un poco nomás. Aquí hay mucho más que esto. But even with what we've just now seen together, aún con lo que hemos visto hasta ahora, vemos que había planificación. You can see that there was planning in all the things that happened, all the setup. Because you look at what Israel went through before Egypt, you know, and all the Joseph and all of that. It's a whole bunch of mess there, but then they got put in to the exact spot where everything was foundational. Israel fue metido por José, por todas las circunstancias de todo eso, lo que pasó, muchas complicaciones para llegar al centro ahí, a la enseñanza muy vital y clave. Because no one can say, listen, if Egypt is representing the world, which is what the Bible establishes, you have to realize that there's a lot of planning, a lot of moving and doing things and causing things, allowing things to happen to get Israel into Egypt, to get that 300-year education, para recibir esos 300 años allí en el mundo, en Misraim, en Egipto, eso es lo que quiere decir, Misraim. To get that education and to have the perspective to begin the most significant advance in human knowledge in the history of mankind. Le dio todo ese formulario y formación para que comenzar el avance más significativo en el conocimiento, entendimiento del ser humano, el desarrollo del entendimiento del ser humano, de la verdad, the knowledge of the truth. A great orchestration. So if you study everything that God did, everything that happened to orchestrate this education, you can appreciate what is going on. And now we see, as Israel is separated, vamos a ver ahora que Israel está separado, podemos apreciar y como Dios usa de lo que ya saben 300 años y lo trae y lo pone en la perspectiva correcta. So then God brings out the proper perspective, kills the old Egyptian god, mata el dios egipcio primeramente, and then we see Israel respond when Moses doesn't come down. What did they do? They bring in young calf, a new bull. Traen un nuevo becerro, que es el orden that we see that would be done in Egypt cuando el viejo murió. Entonces traen uno nuevo. And now we see God, right? Didn't like that because God told them, right? No gold, no silver, don't make idols, don't make images. God, he said it already. They didn't get it. They didn't understand. No entendieron. Hicieron los dioses que Dios dijo no hicieran. I still, who was the Apis? Who was the young bull? The old bull died. Egypt. Boom. But now Israel was trying to show a new God, trying to say, we're worshiping the new God, which is what Aaron, lo que Aaron le dijo. What did Aaron say to him? With this we'll finish, because this is an important thing. Mira lo que Aarón le dice. So we'll just go ahead to 32. Let's see, is it here? Exodus 32. Let's go to 32. Fíjase lo que Aarón le dice en el Éxodo 32, right? See? And verse 4 and verso 4. And with this we'll end, and I'll continue here next time. And he received them at their hand and fashioned it with a graving tool. After he had made it a molten calf. And they said, these be the gods, Elohim. See, this is the problem. These be the God, these be thy gods, O Israel. It says Elohim. So like I said, I'm sticking with Elohim, right? Which brought thee, because there were no gods. You understand? They knew. They were told, this is Elohim. This is the God, our God, not our gods. But the problem is the word Elohim, isn't it? So, these be thy gods, O Israel, thy Elohim, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. They've heard this before, except it wasn't translated as gods. It was translated God. You heard it in Exodus 20 as for one of them, when he says, I am the God who taken you out of the land of Egypt, in the house of bondage. So they've heard this. God has told this to them. Elohim. See, but for some reason, whatever, because they can't get it through their head that they're misinterpreting this. I'm going out on the limb. Yo estoy saliéndome a la rama ahí con decir que esto es una interpretación débil, desafortunadamente hecho, porque lo que estoy viendo es que está hablando Israel quería adorar a Elohim, see, and so they were trying to worship God in the only way they knew how. They didn't know any other way. 300 years. Moses comes out, he says a few things, okay, we'll do everything, and then he disappears. But, we want to, worship God. I mean, we want God to kill us. I mean, it looked like we were dying the other day. Let's make a Apis. The God incarnate, that's what we know. And anyway, Moses killed the Egyptian God. Already, Moisés mató el dios egipcio ya. Y ahora lo que hay es levantar el nuevo Dios, que es lo que estamos aquí para el nuevo Dios. So we're here to venerate and worship the new God, because the old God, Egypt, that's dead, that's gone. Okay, so what did they do wrong? ¿Qué hicieron mal? They had the right idea. Ellos tenían la idea correcta. O sea que estamos adorando un nuevo Dios, no el Dios de Egipto. Right? Pero hicieron lo que Dios dijo que no se hiciese. And maybe quizás porque porque interpretaron mal cuando Dios dijo Elohim, están entendiendo otros dioses como están haciendo aquí, y aún los eruditos, aún los escribas, que están interpretando que se está diciendo Elohim queriendo decir otro dios y no Elohim. Cuando leemos, when we read that God told Moses, tell the people, do not make with me, or of me is what I'm saying, it should be, Elohim of silver or Elohim of gold. Don't make me a statue of a silver or gold statue. That's the way I see it. They may not have interpreted it, and even a rabbi, a scholar would say, no, they understood it as gods. And I say, yes, and that's the problem. Sí, el rabino quizás me diga, ellos lo interpretaron como dioses. Eso es como lo entendieron. Y yo digo, pues entonces eso era el problema. Because later on now, so what I'm saying is that my distinguishing point is that they weren't not trying to worship Jehovah. They were doing it the wrong way. They were doing it in a way that he had prohibited. Okay, and we already discovered why he would prohibit it. That was another teaching, not to make it a religion, but we'll leave that there. As opposed to making a false god. In other words, as opposed to they were just idol worshiping. I think that's mistaken. They weren't idol worshiping in the sense that they were in their hearts that they wanted to serve a false god. After all they went through. You understand? So a través de todo lo que then you're also saying that God didn't make it clear. You're also saying that, they did not know it was just one God taken out. Like Moses, how many chances and times and opportunities and how many moments you can quote them from Scripture that he specified who's having them come out from Israel. The first thing, come out from Egypt. The first thing, he goes to the elders. Who was it that's sending me? Right? To tell me that they did not understand at this point in Exodus 32 that there are no other Elohim. Right? No se puede decir que ellos no entiendan que no hay otro Elohim. See? But what they did do wrong, absolutely wrong, was making the image, engraving the image. That was absolutely the wrong thing. And God, again, because these things are holy, they went against the holy things. They were stricken dead, a great portion. A good portion that was symbolically stricken and killed. Una porcentaje simbólico fue muerto allí. And you have some rabbis, usted tiene algunos rabinos diciendo que eso era el multitud mixta. It's like a tradition that they traditionally interpret. It doesn't say that now. Well, when we get to it, I'll do that before I say something. Because, we can all we're human. I haven't really looked into the Hebrew on that, so I'll tell you honestly. But I'm suspecting that it doesn't really specify that, not as clear as it should, it could and should, but we'll reserve that for that. Oh, it better be clear. I will tell you right now. Debe estar claro, debo decir ahora, te voy a avisar ahora. Porque si no es claro, entonces los hebreos otra vez están cambiando la historia. Por tradición, no hoy, no hoy día. Ya saben esto, ya lo han aprendido así. But something's not too kosher with the way it is now, with the way they're saying it now. Algo no está muy, ¿cómo se dice? Kosher en español, no sé cómo decirlo, pero usted sabe, algo no aceptable por los judíos. Hay algo aquí funny, raro, que no pega. Yo lo sospecho. All right, I've gone over, so God bless you. Next week, we still look into more deeply into these things, and we'll continue our study in Holy. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. I'm really am. I love this stuff. Yo estoy amando este estudio sobre lo que es santo en realidad, and next week we'll continue. Dios le bendiga. Dios le guarde.